Hello and welcome to the How to Exit Podcast. Today I'm here with Michael Fink. He's the co-CEO of Treasure Hunter. And I'm really excited to have this conversation. You and I chat a little bit online occasionally, and I watch what you're building and what you've built already. So this is going to be both educational and fun for me to have this conversation with you. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ron, for having me.
So let's start off with the origin story. What got you into buying, growing, and owning media assets or websites, blogs, that type of stuff?
Yeah, sure. Let's kick it off with a walk down the memory lane. So, more than 10 years ago, I co-founded Evergrowing. So, not Treasure Hunt, Evergrowing, together with my back then girlfriend, now wife, and mother of our three kids, of our three boys. Yeah, we co-founded Evergrowing. We chipped in both €1,000 back then. And we started out publishing all these product review sites. Funny enough, I think 2011, it was the time when the Wirecutter started out as well. But unless the Wirecutter, we were heavily focused on the German-speaking markets like Germany, Austria, Switzerland. So we published a lot of product reviews, in-depth product guides, and so on. We gained fast traction and we grew and became one of the leading product review websites in Germany. So I think of us as a European version of bestreviewers.com, of the New York Times as the Wirecutter. And then back in 2019, we saw the rise, or we saw various publishers and these big media companies entering the space. I mean, you guys probably experienced the same in the States with CNN entering the space, with CNN underscore, the Business Insider picks. So we thought, okay, well, now with our product review website, we're not competing against Best Vacuum Cleaner 2018.com, but with these big, renowned authority media publishers. So we decided not to fight them, but to team up with them and enter into partnerships. We're really deeply rooted in this content space and in the content websites. And then back in 2021, we saw all the Amazon FBA aggregators emerging, like Thrasio, Heyday, Racer, Group, Purge, you name it. And we were like, wow, it's amazing what these guys are pulling off. I mean, they've raised like, I think, a $15 billion in VC equity and debt funding combined in just a couple of years. And then we're totally disrupting the space and are heavily aggregating. And we were like, wow, the business model, the underlying business model is amazing. You acquire these assets that are valued at a very reasonable, at a very fair price point, let's say 2x or 3x. You aggregate them, you build out some kind of synergetic portfolio, and you leverage all these synergies between your assets, between Amazon FBA companies, and build out this portfolio company that's obviously trading at a way higher multiples. And so you're thriving on the one hand off the organic traffic and organic growth of these assets, and on the other hand, this is multiplied by the valuation arbitrage. And we were like, okay, come on, let's not start the 135th Amazon FBA aggregator, but use and apply the very same model to a space where we really have deep knowledge, where we have a custom advertiser base, and where we have international teams in place, where we have all these media partnerships built up over the last couple of years, even surpassed our own expectations. And yeah, this brought us to our next funding round last year in August. Closed it, we raised a couple of million. And since then, we're on a shopping tour and we've acquired now more than 10 additional content websites in various spaces. So at Treasure Hunt, Evergrowing is all Wirecutter-like product reviews, whereas Treasure Hunter, we're really doubling down on these communities and on these really passion-related verticals. Like, imagine anything you'd like to spend your leisure time on, be it like travel, outdoor, nature, sports, food, and so on. And yeah, same strategy here, similar to Evergrowing. We're acquiring a couple of websites and then we use all the synergies between them. So basically every big finance asset like Points Guys and so on, you're visiting, it's owned by Ventures. We're following basically the same business model, but unlike Ventures, we're not doing some kind of multi-million or billion-dollar deals, not yet, but we're really focusing on content sites that have like 100K in net profit up to 1 million. So that's really our sweet spot. But yeah, completely agree. And the huge advantage of these passion related sites is they're not only dependent from the Google SEO traffic, because within these assets, you see a lot of social media traffic, you see newsletter traffic, you see all of these media areas that are attached. And I think that is a huge opportunity to just diversify your traffic streams as well as your revenue streams.
If AI gets so good at telling stories, at some point, will we care that it was a real story and a real human being and a real experience? Or is it okay for it just to be something made up that was just really entertaining to read?
I think both aspects hold true. I don't know if you're aware of these synthetic avatars and these synthetic influencers. And I've recently come across a study. I'll shoot you over the link later. And I think the engagement rates of these synthetic influencers or from real users with these influencers were like 3 times as high compared to human influencers. And I had to reread it a couple of times because this was like super weird at first. But yeah, it would totally prove your point that at least to an extent, a couple of people are thinking, okay, wow, it's completely fine to hear some stories and see some evolvement of some kind of AI or virtual avatar that I'm following and that's evolving. But I think both sides might want to hold true. So I think these are personal relationships and these are real-time events and going out, meeting some people.
Can you give us your target acquisition profile?
So when we're looking for any content sites with a history of more than 3 years and more than 100K in net profit up to 1 million, and preferably in verticals like food, sports, outdoor, travel is the ones that we really have a huge footprint established right now. A solid history, obviously no shady 301 redirects, no PBNs in place, and no AI content as well, as we're still figuring this out from a risk reward perspective. And it should be really community focused. So we're really not looking about these. Back then, you called it a made for ads sites. These sites will just plug in a couple of generic content so that it's monetized and it brings in a couple of bucks and then you resell it. No, we're really in for the verticals that really have a lot of passionate content, really unique insights, personal stories, and a community of following that's really excited about this brand and about this topic.